Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Sunday night breakdown. Daniel Ratledge and Dave Forrester with you as ever to break down all the action in the British Basketball League. Quite a lot to get through. Let's go all the way back to Tuesday, first of all, where the Plymouth City Patriots beat the Cheshire Phoenix 96 points to 80. Obviously, Cheshire no longer have Ben Mockford's services to call upon. I watched this game back this morning. There wasn't really much in it in the early stages. It was not until early in the second quarter that Simmons and Dusha and Graham Bell hit threes, and Plymouth got the first real lead of the game at 30-23.
Yeah, this was kind of a contextual game because you have some games which are scheduled losses, which you really think, my God, we're going to do well to win that game.
Yeah.
Plymouth are coming off a game at Newcastle where they won, and they were full of, bounce in relation to that win, which, they stole one in Newcastle. And Cheshire were coming off an unbelievable, pinnacle of the season, 40-point Sunday night win, Ellesmere Port. And, there's a lot of adrenaline runs through you after that 40-point win.
Yeah.
And that adrenaline isn't helped by, you're not going to practice on Monday, and then you're going to be on a bus down to Plymouth first thing on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Or Tuesday lunchtime. But then on top of that, you add in the fact that you're missing a guy who's given you really excellent, depth throughout the year. He started most of the year. Then I did have the impression before the game that I thought that bubble might just kind of pop a little bit in this game.
Yeah.
And it did. They gave it a good shot. It also, I think the fact they've played each other a few times now, the animosity seems to have died down
waned a little bit. Yeah, that was the bit I was looking forward to watching this game I didn't really see the sort of needle.
No, I think Cheshire were happy. Well, it's different when you have two happy teams.
Yeah, I suppose.
So Cheshire in the trophy final. Plymouth have won 5 or 6 in a row. Everyone's feeling good about themselves, so no one's looking over their shoulder thinking the coach going to blame me. Is it going to go? Everybody's feeling like, go on, we get our shots off. So both teams have kind of got that respect.
Yeah.
And so it happened. And the game, it was kind of as that. Plymouth had a bit more depth. Plymouth shot the ball well, and Plymouth have the ability to attack the rim remorselessly, and they continue to do so in that game, I thought.
Yeah. They got to 11 just before halftime, and Knicks had an 11-0 run in the third quarter to cut it to a 2-point game, but Patriots immediately came back. 14 of the next 17 points finished by that Adekunle play at the start of the fourth quarter, where he got a 4-point play because he got fouled on a 2-pointer, missed it, and then got the ball back and scored again, and that was pretty much took them out to 11, and that was pretty much the game. It was almost like if you can have a dagger shot 9 minutes and 40 seconds from the end, that was it.
I thought they were like gas a little bit. I thought Teddy was really good in this game. Even though it was a game, they could have not thrown the towel in, but if they lose that game by 20, then ultimately everyone's still remembering that they win on Sunday by 40. And I thought he really kept them in it. He really kind of drove them forward in the game. And if Okafor's playing well, and obviously Austin is always going to be a live wire, then they don't really need that much more. But if one of them is off or in foul trouble, then the loss of Mockford begins to hurt them a little bit.
Yeah.
So that there may be a big game team as opposed to a kind of a consistent.
Well, they're one big game away from a very successful season, aren't they?
Well, absolutely, and that's isn't it good for them?
Yeah. Williams was 8 of 9 shooting for 19 points and 15 assists. Graham Bell with 19, Simmons with 18, 54 points off the bench. The stat that really caught my eye was the plus minuses. I don't know if you noticed it. Adekunle plus 22, Simons plus 22, Dusha plus 23, Graham Bell plus 18. There was only one starter in positive numbers for Plymouth, and that was Williams, who was plus 10, and obviously they won by 16. So it was really a bench game.
Simons made some shots at the end, if I remember rightly. It's going back a while now, but Simons, he's clearly a very solid standstill shooter, and obviously he played with Williams at college.
Yeah.
So they know each other, and I think Williams is if Williams has 19 and 15, they're going to struggle to lose. If Williams has 25 on 17 shots and 4 assists, then I think you've got a better chance against them. But if he becomes a distributor and an efficient scorer, they've got enough pieces around him whereby they're a tough team. It's the way they score. They just continue to put pressure on the rim throughout the game. Hassan probably spends the most legal time in the key of anybody in the league. He's always around the basket, and he's a great finisher around the basket. And Williams also prefers to score in the paint. So it was at the rim. It was impressive.
Claudio Carafo with 22. Austin had 17, 9, and 6. Bradley 17, 7. And they had 5 points off the bench. That was Dickerson. And bearing in mind that Plymouth had 54, quite a difference between the two there.
Well, I didn't play Carey much. I did, and Mockford's gone, so they haven't really got much else. Bacali and Graham haven't really played that much.
Let's go to Wednesday night trophy semi-finalists where we learned who Cheshire would play, and it's the London Lions. Well, I actually think we learned a couple of weeks ago, but there you go. London Lions 85, Bristol Flyers 81. It means the Lions win 166, 142 on aggregate. There was no Reese and Ward Hibbert, no Evans for the Flyers, and this was just a massive bag of nothing. This was fortunately I watched this live, because if I'd wasted time watching this back, I would have been very disappointed with myself.
The true American nothing burger. I like it. I think when you turn on and you find out that Evans isn't playing, and Evans is the one guy who can get streaky, who can create his own shot, who, if you're not careful, could kind of come down the court. And I don't know if you remember a game between London and Bristol about 5 or 6 years ago where Hamid Ali.
I do remember it well. TV. I was doing the commentary.
He just went
in the third quarter. Went ballistic.
He just went off.
Yeah.
And and Evans is kind of the one guy on that team who could do that. And in reality, they needed that to come close to 20, to come close to 10 probably. And when he wasn't there, that kind of immediately kind of doused my spirits. And then Bristol everybody kind of started off relatively lackadaisical. Bristol got up 5, but when you lose your starting point guard, your starters might be able to survive, but your bench then struggles because you're going deeper down your bench. And they ended up having to play a crazy lineup with Notice at the point and basically 4 forward stroke centres. Thomas Edwards, Rogers, Delpesh and Simmons on court at the same time. And their spacing was not optimal.
No, and Lions scored 17 points in a row to lead by 12 on the day, and that was that. Some vague interest at the end, apparently, about who would win, but who cares? It didn't matter.
I understood. There's a footage online. Justin made a big shot, and I'm okay. I think Justin's probably made bigger shots in his life.
I think he has. He did make a 3 late on that ensured they went. Washburn and Williams hit a couple as well. Dirk Williams with 22, Will Neighbour 17, Kajini 13. Jacob 7 of 10 from 3-point line for 28 points. You'd like to save that 7 of 10 for a game that mattered a bit more, perhaps. Delpesh 18 and 12, Miller 18, 11. And 7. So this is the moment that I'm sure all our viewers and listeners have been waiting for. Friday night's action from the Virtue Motors Arena, where both you and I were in attendance, and we had our super fan come and ask for a selfie with us, Dave. That was a bit of excitement before the game. We won't tell anybody it was your brother. No. Right, Steele was
He's
back.
Not a fan.
Steele was back, and there was no Dan Clark, and there weren't too many stops in the first quarter at all. 34-29 after 10 minutes. Not really one for the defensive purist.
Yeah. Not really one for the defensive minded. Not really one for the people who acknowledge that there is defense in the game. Both teams made shots, but both teams got where they wanted to go. Darius came. They gave the ball to Darius early, and Darius got going early, which always helps because then that kind of just sucks the defense in. And lets the other guys work from that space. I was really only watching the one end of the first half. I was watching the kind of the way that Newcastle were defending Manchester, because you have to defend Manchester. We've been through it before, and primarily defending Manchester. Even though McKnight is back, he's still not in rhythm. Defending Manchester means defending Armstrong. it's almost synonymous. And I was surprised. I didn't know what Newcastle's plan was. I think I know what it was. I think when Fletcher was guarding him, he was basically giving him space. But which is the way that you do it, and you build a wall in the paint, and you say to him, "Go on, you're gonna have to dance around a lot, but eventually you're gonna have to make some shots, and everybody else is gonna have to watch you do that." But every single time that Armstrong even faked to go around the screen, Newcastle just switched. So he was facing Pearson, he was facing Johnson. There was almost without any type of resistance, they just switched the screens, and the guys who weren't his primary defender just got torched. And the very first offensive play of the game, he got in the lane, got in the paint, where you've got to keep him out of. You've got to keep him out of the paint. And he penetrated. He threw a pass out to the corner, and Artisan knocked it down. It was a great pass. It was, but it was a play he can make. Yeah. And obviously that gets Artisan going, and now suddenly you've got Armstrong in the pit, and then that was the whole first quarter for me. And it kept going in that way, and Newcastle feeling quite good about themselves until about the 8-minute mark in the second quarter, and then Fletcher came out for a rest. The Newcastle's offense created, and they didn't have any defense. And you only have for 2.5 minutes, but I'm guessing 7-0, 8-0 run, and they didn't have a defense to sustain it, to sustain the lead.
Yeah. So there was a 12-3 run around the first break, which made it 40-29, and it was 47-36 with three minutes to go to halftime, and then Giants had an 11-2 finish to the first half to make it 49-47, and it was one of those games where you thought a defensive run is going to win this game, or a spell of somebody missing shots. It's the alternative.
Yeah, and just so you say that, let's just think about that for a second. I mean, we'll go ahead to it in a minute, but 36 points with 3 minutes to go in the second half, yeah?
Yeah.
That means they had 74 points in the next 23 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, that's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points.
So how did it happen? Why did it happen? As I say, I don't think Newcastle consistently defended Armstrong. Last time Armstrong played at Newcastle, he had 40. He went 60. He was 16 of 20. He got to the rim all day. They defended him basically single cut. They didn't help. Basically, they challenged him to beat them, and he beat them. This time they threw in a lot more different coverages, but it seemed to me that there was a lack of consistency or lack of understanding amongst the team, or whether they just weren't doing what they were told. I don't know. There were times in the offense that there were times early in the offense they would run two guys at him and he'd make him give the ball up. There were times where they were blitz coverage at the top of the key, and they'd basically make him give the ball up 2-on-1. But then what happened was David Ulf happened.
Yeah.
And basically Ulf was awesome in this game. And just to talk about Manchester for a little bit before I get back on to Newcastle, they play without Dan Clark, yeah? And playing without Dan Clark basically gives them the size of Lewis and the shooting, who's basically Dan Clark light. He is Dan Clark. Probably not as good a shooter, but he does what he's meant to do. And then you have something entirely different in Ulf, who is not a shooter, who is going to be rolling every single time. Well, what Manchester did really well in this game was that they adjusted their schemes. Normally they would pick and pop, so the big guy would pop and they'd get plenty of threes off that, and they'd use that to create space for McKnight and for Whelan and for Steele to get to the rim. Well, this game, every single time Newcastle were trapping or trying to hedge or whatever, the big guy was rolling, and Ulf was 7 of 7 in this game. Yeah. He was 7 of 7 from a combined distance of 9 feet.
Yeah.
And that's because he was rolling. And that meant that if that happens and one of the Newcastle, if they're trapping the ball, there's 2 on the ball, there's 4 on 3. If the fourth guy is catching the basketball and doesn't have to make one more pass, it's a layup every time. Yeah. If he does have to make one more pass, it's an open 3-pointer every time. Yeah. Because you don't have the chance to recover in time.
And the thing about it was They got both of those things. They got Ulf 7 of 7 with the layups, and they got Artisan 6 of 7 from 3. So they got it was worst of both worlds.
So when the Eagles blitzed, there was the backside coverage. They didn't seem to know what was going on insofar as rotating out. There didn't seem to be any particular urgency to rotate out to the next guy. And they got, as I said a few weeks ago, they got filleted. They got basically they got marmalized to the point whereby they became dispirited. But that wasn't actually the whole story. I mean, so Manchester did exactly what they were meant to do. Armstrong shot the ball 10 times instead of shooting the total 20 times. But instead of him being 16 of 20, he was 9 of 10.
Yeah.
And Ulf was 7 of 7. So that's 16 of 17 on those same possessions.
Artisan was 9 of 11.
Artisan's 9 of 11, 7 of 17. Whoa, 25 of 29. Those three guys.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
For 60 points, basically.
And I know you always pick the best three guys and say, well, they shot the ball really well, because normally somebody on the team will shoot the ball really well, but 25 or 28, 60 points. Wow. Anyway, so that, and then what you saw was at the beginning, I don't know what happened at half time, but at the beginning of the third quarter, Newcastle came out listless offensively. So that was actually the first domino to fall in relation to the mentality. And you see, Fletcher throwing the ball, Person on the curl, and he's not cutting to where Fletcher thinks he's going to be. In the fast break, Person is cutting to the basket instead of spotted up on the 3-point line, which he's been doing all season. Fletcher throws it to the 3-point line. It's over Person's head. He throws it out. So that plays on Fletcher's mind. You've got Defoe, who I thought looked clearly frustrated. You got some good up shots on him during timeouts, particularly in the third quarter. For whatever, it may have been the defensive schemes, or it may have been what everybody else was doing, but they just weren't on the same page with each other. When Gordon comes out the game, he's got a few words for people, and then eventually Fletcher cracks at the end of the third quarter. And he did come. I mean, Aunt Rowe was quite pleasant to him and said that he wasn't sure there was much contact there. He had his hand on Hudson. You're playing physical D. That's good. Try and fight you. Lock your team up, get them going, whatever. He had his hand on Hudson. He ran past the ref. Some refs call T's on that. Some refs don't. Chris Dodd's called the team. Must have said something he didn't like. And then he's on the bench again. But then he goes on the bench and the Eagles crater, so he's got to come straight back in again. And then you basically just you're watching a team that's cracked.
Yeah,
I mean, the practice, they're irrecoverable at that point, and you see it in the body language on the sideline. You've got the quiet ones go quiet, the less quiet ones get frustrated, and I've talked about cracking all season. It's happened to a few teams, but that was a live example of it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Manchester did exactly what you meant to do, and they kept the foot on the throat. He brought Armstrong back in early in the fourth quarter. He wasn't taking a risk on the game at all.
Yeah,
he had his guys on the court, and they picked Newcastle apart to the point whereby I was a little bit surprised the starters were kept in the game, to be honest. Because you're down 20, and I think the starters basically said at the end, we don't want to be in this game, and the effort on the last 3 or 4 possessions defensively was abysmal. It wasn't there.
And the crowd picked up on that, because it was one of those things where the last minute and a half or so there was just this sort of eerie silence sort of thing, and
it was like they were stunned into silence, almost stunned into this kind of what is going on here. And the difficulty with having a kind of a crowd where you've won a lot is that there's a lot of season ticket holders there. There's probably 500 season ticket holders in that gym. They all know what they're watching.
Yeah,
because they've seen it over the past 15 years.
Yeah.
So it's probably a slightly more educated basketball audience, probably one of the more educated basketball audiences in the league, who are also. And I say that because obviously the crowds at Newcastle are probably better than everywhere, if not 90% of the league. And
I would have thought they have the best average gate in the league.
Average league, yeah. So there's kind of a knowledgeable core there, and playing without effort is you know, it's kind of almost it's kind of almost good that, you know, we do get lost in this family sports stuff all the time. Everything's a family sport. Everyone's got to clap their hands and have a great deal of time and buy a lot of hot dogs and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, people are customers and people go to see their team and they expect their team to try hard.
Yeah.
And expect their team to stay to play till the end. And you know, sometimes we lose track of the fact that, you know, it isn't a pantomime. This is livelihood and this is sport, and ultimately just like anybody else. And it's a very, very tough lifestyle. I've talked about it before, British basketball, because people are on 1-year contracts. They're competing directly against people who are in their own position. But ultimately, you know, them's the brickbats. That's what happens.
Yeah.
If we give up 110 points at home, then the crowd is entitled to turn around and there was a smattering of boos.
Yeah, it wasn't a pantomime, but there were some boos at the end.
Yeah,
yes, indeed. Right, Gordon with
Boris Johnson party, wasn't it? Bring your own booze. That was Keir Starmer's line.
Good one.
I can't claim that one.
I missed that. So Gordon finished with 23, Person 15, Defoe 14, Fletcher 10 points and 14 assists. Fletcher was actually minus 12 in 35 minutes. So it shows you what they gave up in the 5 minutes he wasn't on court. We've talked the numbers, but I'll give them again. Artisan, because they're so impressive. Artisan 24 points, 9 of 11, 6 of 7 from 3, 8 rebounds as well. Armstrong 23 points, 9 of 10, shooting 11 assists. Ulf a perfect 7 of 7 for 14 points, 10 rebounds and 6 assists.
What I just didn't get about it was why from the beginning they weren't just going under doing what everybody else has done in the last 3 or 4 weeks against Armstrong and just going under. I think Fletcher was, but nobody else seemed to be on that.
To be fair to him, he made a couple today, and he did make a couple in that
no, he
game
can
as
shoot.
well.
There's no question about it. He can shoot. He can shoot, but you know, it's a little bit like Crandall last year. You know, that's the one. That's the hill you prefer to die on. And until he proves he can beat you that way. And you know, you're going to be, you know, in a perfect world.
He's proven he can beat you at the basket.
Yeah, absolutely. Beat you at the basket and beat you distributing the ball. And he's 25 or 30. You know, in the last 2 games against him, shooting 80, whatever that is, 84%. So he's proven he can do that. But of course, he made 2 threes in this game, but he made them once, as Drew Lasker said in the telly, he made them once he'd got the confidence seeing the ball go through the hoop. You know, and that's it. And I just didn't. I was disappointed that they didn't have a coherent. They weren't able to. They might have had a coherent strategy, but they weren't able to. At least, the very least, replicate what other teams have done, because if you know, we'll get to Tariq Armstrong later with the next game, but you know, I thought Newcastle just basically gave him the run of the building, and you know, Artisan as well was awesome, and even the other guys, Ulf was awesome. Ulf was really, really impressive.
Let's go to Bristol Flyers 75, Sheffield Sharks 72 in overtime. Now, when I saw the score of this, I was really looking forward to this game. And then I watched it and it felt like it went on for about 3 hours. It wasn't a good thing. Evans was back for Bristol. This was a tough watch. There was not much going in, lots of misses, Flyers just slowly edging away. It was a low scoring, but I wouldn't say it was defensively, because it was low scoring in the first half. Well,
I mean, there's a couple of things. And the first one was you say that I got to the middle of the 4th quarter and I had a Simpsons flashback of one of the very best Simpsons episodes where Homer is a mascot at the Springfield Isotopes. And he becomes dancing Homer. And there's a little vignette in that whereby I think it may be the beginning of the episode or the end, possibly maybe the beginning, whereby he's sat in the baseball crowd watching the game, and he realizes that just nothing of any interest is going on, and he basically and the announcer's like, and now there's a beach ball on the field, and and the coach is checking out his pockets and all that. And Homer's like, well, I didn't think this was so. I know why they sell beer here now. That type of thing. I just couldn't, I couldn't get into this game. And I was like, I was wanting to get into it. And there's a reason, I think, why the game was scrappy. And that's primarily because Bristol are a big team. Sheffield have the ability to play big, but that's not their best, certainly not their most fluent formation, as it were. And Nichols got 2 fouls in the first quarter, and he sat down. And Atiba went at times to kind of the two big lineup with Tuck and Delpesh, which hasn't really played much this season, or Tuck and Cook, two of those guys, and that is not as fluent, and that is not as comfortable. On top of that, Sheffield missed a ton of shots early. Glasgow couldn't get going at all, which is a big thing for Sheffield. You can't, if Sheffield have dead possessions, you can't let Rod Glasgow pull up and shoot a 15-foot shot out of nothing 6 times a game.
Yeah,
because if he solves those, if he creates out of those dead possessions when you've got them lined up, that can be the difference in the game. And he didn't make his shots in this game. I thought Bristol defended him quite well with size. So Sheffield went big, and Bristol were big, and there really wasn't much space on the court, and it became a bit of a battle, and a battle without much shooting. And without the shooting, there becomes no rhythm. There's a lot of contact. It becomes a difficult game to ref. My finger was a bit on the old fast forward every time. Because it's just very, very bitty.
Yeah. So
in the first half, they scored 24 points.
Bristol led by 13 at one stage in the first half, 34-21, 2.5 minutes from halftime. They got 15 up in the third quarter, but Wallace and then Muvzolo hit threes to make it 43-37. Then early in the fourth quarter, a couple of threes from Wallace got it to 51-53 in favor of the Sharks. And let's just spin it because we've got overtime to go through as well.
What I like, just on that though, I like, just the reason that Sheffield started scoring was because they went back to that small lineup at the beginning of the fourth quarter, towards the end of the third quarter. They had like 37 points in basically 3 quarters, and suddenly then he went with Rutino at the 4.
Yeah,
and that just opened that. Johnson, Glasgow, Wallace, Rutino, and whoever, that opens the whole thing up. And there was times when Rutino was being guarded by Shane Walker, and that's just a horrific mismatch, but it opened Sheffield's offense up, gave them spacing, and then they splurged and Wallace got going basically, but he had the spacing to do it with.
So Evans fouls out with 2:45 to go, 60-58. Delpesh makes a free throw to make it a 3-point game. Then there's a double dribble by Glasgow. Jacob misses a 3. Delpesh with the steal. The next score was actually Miller, an easy drive to the basket with no help whatsoever. 63-58, 46 seconds to go at home. Bristol should win from here.
Yeah, I thought firstly, good call by the ref on the Glasgow double dribble. Good replay work by the Bristol guys.
It was.
Just put his supporting hand on the basketball. It was one of those games when Miller made that layup, and there weren't many layups in that game which were like that, whereby anybody being able to get to the rim. Again, thinking, well, how are Bristol going to lose this one? You're up 5 in a low scoring game with like 40 odd seconds to go, and then Wallace, actually, to be fair, Tiba ran a nice play for Wallace. And he made a really tough shot coming off a curl. A tough 3.
He inbounded it, and he went as if he was going to come baseline, then came back the other way off the screen. And 39 seconds to go, 63-61. Miller drives, misses this time, and then Wallace had a mismatch on a switch at the other end. Still had to finish high up off the glass. That was still a difficult finish.
I thought that was a bad switch. I watched that. I mean, I just, that guy's what, he had 20, he must have had probably 15 to 18 points in that half of the game, if not the fourth quarter. And he was comfortable, and we know he's a gamer because we've talked about it before. That little tete-a-tete he had with Crandall in the meeting rooms last minute, that type of stuff. That's somebody who's like, who's focused on the game. He's not just going to walk away and he's going to get emotional. He's going to desperately get there. And I think it was Walker switched onto him. I thought it wasn't even a real switch. It wasn't even a real screen. At that point in the game, you've got to, if you're guarding that guy, then you've got to be the one who says, I'm guarding him. I'm going to get over that screen. I'm going to defend this fella.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like it was a screen on a tight curl at the top of the 3-point line or anything like that. It was probably 8-10 feet outside the 3-point line. And you've got to get back in front of your own man. You've got to guard your own man. And as soon as he sees Walker on him, and he's going to the rim, and he's comfortable going to the rim because he knows that's his job. He knows he's got the mismatch. So mentally, he is thinking, this is my play. No one's going to criticize me if I go with Shane Walker off the dribble.
Yeah.
So he's attacking, it's a mental thing about, am I comfortable making the right play, right, the right shot? As soon as he sees that, bang, I'm going at him off the dribble. And it could have been an and one. He ended up 4 feet into the, I couldn't see because the camera wasn't great on it. But he ended, another day, another ref, potentially, could be an and one as well, because he ended up 4 feet into the advertiser board. And I just thought it was a bad switch, you've got to guard your guy at the end. And I've said it last week, I think, the guys without the ball are not scoring.
Yeah.
You've got to have the ball to score.
Yeah.
And you've got to know who is going to be that. Who is the guy who really want to get the ball at the hands of? And with Devontae Wallace, it was him, and they didn't, and they nearly paid for it.
Timeout. There's 5.9 seconds to go. Timeout. Advance the ball. Bristol got a shot. It was top of the key from Jacob. It was a long way short. I must admit, I watched it and thought, well, at least they didn't turn the ball over in that situation.
They got it in, but I think there was at least two, or I looked at it, it was a bit confused because I think Jacob ran to the corner initially.
Yeah, he did.
And then he came up. When he came up, he was actually right where Thomas Edwards was. So the spacing was dead. And he ended up catching the basketball off, probably, it might have been Miller who threw it to him, or whoever was at the top who caught it. But him and Thomas Edwards were in the same place. So it can't have been what, they haven't convinced in end of game situations, Bristol.
At that end, particularly in that building, at that end of the floor on a sideline out of time.
Well, it's always going to be the end of the floor.
Yeah.
That's the way they go in the second half. But other than Evans kind of pulling shots out of his backside, they really haven't really showed much in the way of close games that make you think, we're gonna finish this game off. So it went to overtime.
Yeah, Marcus Delpesh, Sheffield, fouled out early in overtime. So let's go forward to the last bit of the game. Wallace into the paint, 71-70 with 140 to go. And then I thought a big play on the next one. Jacob missed a three, but Simmons with the offensive rebound, put back, got an and one turn. So he got 3 points for them. 120 to go. They're up 4.
Yeah, and that was the balance. You see, the whole game, it was all about the chess match was playing smaller, playing big. And I remember when Simmons got that rebound, I watched it back again, watching it back. You're looking at who's in the paint. At that point, Mike Tuck was playing the 5. I think Delpesh had gone. I don't believe Coke was in the game.
No.
They were playing small, and that allows the spacing on one end, but it also allows the rebounding on the other end. And sometimes you just got to throw everything in the air and see where it falls. And Simmons made the play that he has to make, which is if he's got Tuck on him, who's been basically career at 4. He's played a 4 for most of his career. Like most guys, as you get a bit older, you tend to move up a position, and you're going to be solid. But at the end of the day, Simmons is 6'10", Tuck 6'7". Tuck doesn't get off the ground that much, so Simmons has to make that play, and he does.
Wallace missed, and then Simmons got a mismatch. He had Glasgow on his back, but couldn't score, and he missed. 40 seconds to go, and then Sheffield. It looked like there was going to be an easy score for Tuck. He almost lost the ball. They went round. Rotino misses a 3, and then Glasgow somehow salvaged something out of it with a little fall away in the key. 17 seconds to go to make it a 2-point game.
Yeah, just hustle basically. At that point, everybody's just hoping someone's going to pull a shot out, And again, they tried to work with their spacing, and Rodney did it. Did he call a timeout then?
No, I can't remember if there was a timeout, because what I've got here is
immediate foul.
I don't think they did call a timeout because they were going. It was a straightaway foul. So Jacobs is fouled. He misses the second free throw. Sheffield get the ball. They come down the other side. There's 14 seconds to go when they got the ball back. They come down. They're moving it around. They're looking for something. They're down by 3. Where's Kipper going? Where's he going? It was the end of the clock. They'd moved the ball looking for a 3. So if you were going for 2, you had to go quick. They wasted.
It was actually a ridiculous thing to say. It was the worst taken charge you will ever see. Because it was Mike Miller was a right basketball player in every way, but if he just got out of the way, the game was over.
Game was over, yeah. If he doesn't take the charge, by the time the ball goes in,
go through the hoop, game is over. So it was that's a weird one. Don't take the charge. Whatever. So he took. I mean, what Nichols was doing, it was the same. And I told you after the game about the early season game at Newcastle. He did exactly the same thing. The one that I was actually commentating on, whereby they had the ball with 15 seconds to go and the 20-second shot clock. And instead of just standing there to be fouled, he drove into the paint and put a shot up. Just a brain freeze. And the thing I really liked about it, though, it was Wallace's reaction, because he was not happy.
No.
If he was the one who was in camera nearest to the camera, and he turned around and he did a kind of a LeBron J.R. Smith thing.
Yeah.
He was like, whatever, and because you got to know, and Nichols wasn't that impactful in this game. He's got to be a bit better than that. He's a second year now. He's not. I can't say it's a dumb rookie mistake. It's not. It's a second year, and it's March. You've got to know time and score. And if you're going to stand on the 3-point line in particular, there's a reason you're doing it. It's because you're a 3-point shooter. You can knock that shot down.
Yeah.
And Bristol still nearly lost. Yeah,
Bristol, however, didn't want to leave without the extra hospitality of giving Sheffield one more chance. Tried to force the passing. There's 1 second to go. They tried to force the passing almost on a handoff. And was it Ritino got a little knock on it, and it went out off Bristol. Yeah. And the referees had to think about it and then decided to put 0.3 seconds on the clock. What I was thinking there is, there's 1 second on the clock. Why have anybody in the front court at all? Why not? Sorry, in the back court at all. Yeah. Why not send everybody down the other end of the court, put the biggest guy on the free throw line and just lob it towards him and let him tap it? He doesn't have to catch it. He just has to tap it. The other team's not going to catch and shoot in a second if he taps it.
And that's basketball logic.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anybody do it, but I don't understand why.
Times I wish we did.
No.
Well, there's a bog standard thing, which is basically you throw it forwards.
Yeah,
you don't throw it towards your own basket. Yeah. Andreas must have used his timeout because he didn't use the timeout at that point. So they didn't advance it to the front court. But I just think these things happen. It happens very quickly,
Yeah.
But the thing is, you want you as a receiver of the basketball, you don't want to. It doesn't. The handoff is a nightmare on the inbound. If you're both touching it at the same time, it's
out of bounds. Yeah.
You're out of bounds. So so he has to let go of the ball before you can touch it. Otherwise, it's out of bounds. There's no time off the clock. So you want to be staying away from said person. Or throw it off somebody's foot or something. I just think it's they need to do they need to sort out there who's their inbound, who's their best passer, who's taking it out of bounds every single time, and who we're going to throw the ball to, and how's he going to get it open. And it was they're lucky it was 0.3, because if it was 0.6, that becomes a real issue.
Yeah.
It could have been 0.6, because when you get less than a second, then the refs are guessing.
Yeah. There might have been no time. That was the other thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one, because when the ball is tipped in court,
the clock starts.
The clock starts, and it doesn't stop until the ball bounces,
hits something. Yeah.
Or hits a player.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty.
That takes quite a bit of time.
It does, yeah. So sometimes I think the table's a little bit quick on the old finger on that one, but it's very difficult because they're probably across the court and can't see. Yeah. So it's just guesswork. And again, it's end of game execution for them. And then they went back to that ridiculous baseline camera.
Yeah, I know. Terrible.
Fantastic coverage, replays, commentary, everything's superb. Just like last week, they go down the baseline camera with 0.3 second left.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Yeah. Tuck missed a three. I don't know if it was in time.
Tuck's got a bit of a wind up on his shot, and I don't think you can get that off in 0.3.
Yeah. So that was the 11th lowest scoring overtime game in the history of the British Basketball League.
Stat. I like that stuff.
I actually was at the lowest scoring game, 62-63, London Worcester 2013. It was a TV game.
Oh,
I just remember when it got to overtime thinking, I don't need another 5 minutes of this.
Into this.
There you go. Yeah. I actually was also at the lowest scoring double overtime game as well. That was 71-66, Sheffield against Leicester.
I remember a double overtime game between Sunderland and Manchester, probably going back to about 1989, which was very low scoring. You can find it out for us later. I always remember, I think there was a Manchester had a guy playing called Jason Fogarty. He was a big
he was a big unit.
Big unit, Jason. And
he was a big unit in his later days. In his early days, he was quite a
good player. But Sunderland played Manchester about 7 times that season because there were only about 8 or 9 teams in the league, and the teams were very equally matched. I think Kevin St Kitts was playing for Manchester and that type of thing. You know, they were really very competitive games. But by the end of the season, the teams absolutely despised each other.
Yeah.
You know, and there's some big guys playing, and I remember people getting thrown out, and I just remember the whole crowd at Crow Tree Leisure Centre, you know, getting on Jason Fogarty in the game being about 59 before overtime or something ridiculous. But that's a memory I've just come back to us now, so you can check it out later.
Oh, we'll check it out
if you care.
So that wasn't even my start of the game. My start of the game was Bristol had 78 shots and 27 free throws for 75 points. Well, and they won the game. I mean, they won the game.
Look, I said that's their game, you know. I mean, it's a bit of a broken record thing, isn't it? But we've talked about it. That's how they win.
Sheffield, by comparison, had 65 shots and 20 free throws for 23. Those are attempts, obviously, not makes.
Not great.
72. So it's not great.
Will be reducing.
Yeah, definitely. So Jacob had 17 and 11, Thomas Edwards 12, Evans 13. Wallace was the only guy in double figures for the Sharks with 25, so a third of his team's scoring. Let's go down to Surrey Sports Park. And well, this game finished at about 9:15, 9:20, Dave, as they left. I'm sure the Scorchers fans thinking, though it's cold and lonely in the deep dark night, they can see paradise by the scoreboard lights, because it finished Surrey Scorchers 95, Glasgow Rocks 86, and I'm retiring the meatloaf after that.
So you should. I did it 2 weeks ago, but I know
brings to an end their 10-game losing streak, their first win since New Year's Day. So I'm
waiting for Springsteen to die, then we'll get into right.
So before we get into the game, Dan Akodo back. Obviously, they've signed Sol Rolls Tyson. Wilkins, after his ankle injury, within a minute and a half of coming back, was back again. So Creon's actually got a bit of a rotation now to work with.
As ever, he's gone from having too few players to too many. It's tough. It's a tough world being a coach. I like the Rolls Tyson pickup, you know, because it's all Rolls Tyson actually he'd been at Sheffield, he played at Cheshire a little bit, and he always demonstrated a little bit of kind of stretch four potential. You know, the ability to stretch the court, quite long arms, and you know, decent size, probably 6'7". And he got hurt, and I think he had an illness, and it basically was out for a long period of time. And I think it's a nice pickup, that, because he might have a point to prove, and I think he can definitely play in the BBL. I thought firstly Glasgow looked lonely. You know, we're getting back to Wordsworth now. They wandered lonely to Surrey Sports Park. It was Gareth. There was the guy sat next to him, and there was 3 players on the bench. You know, so that made me kind of go, because I've been there. It takes a long way to Surrey on a Friday night when you're playing at home on a Sunday as well. And I thought this was probably Stanley Davis's best game. Watching it back, and it was a hard game to watch as well because there was a lot of fouls in it. The camera angle was good. I like the camera angle. Good job, Surrey. Keep it there, please. It actually made Surrey look better than I think they may have been rather let down by their camera angle this year.
They have.
You know, actually, I might have been a bit harsh on them because of the viewpoint of the game. It just makes it hard watching. But with a better camera angle, I think we saw a little bit more of them. And I thought Davis was really good because he didn't force anything. You know, they got the ball. They are a solid team. They're a big team now. They're beginning to get a bit of cohesion, and they're playing against, you know, a team which basically cannot defend the 3-point line, and they benefited from that. throughout the game. But overall, yeah, not the easiest game to watch. But I thought for it's sort of Glasgow took on the Surrey role of always being behind.
Yeah. It was one of those games where you felt like it was two teams that had not really won very much recently. There wasn't much between them until the start of the third quarter when Surrey hit the first 6 points and opened up a 10-point lead. Even then, there was a 7-0 run by the Rocks late in the third, cut it to 4, and you just thought, oh, will Surrey get a bit tight here? But I thought the Thomas 3 to end the third quarter was an important shot for them because it gave them 7, gave them a bit of confidence.
It was, but it frustrated the hell out of me because it was a one pass shot to his shooter on the shot clock buzzer. And I'm watching it thinking, you can't give up that shot there. You know, and Glasgow's, I don't know what the Surrey shooting this game from 3. They shot a high percentage.
I haven't got it down. Sorry.
Well, I know Glasgow gave up 28 of 42, obviously last week from the 3-point line in 2 games. I did the sums afterwards, and there was something like 41 of 65 in total over 3 games. And it's not just because these guys are good shooters; it's because they're getting good shots. And that was an example. You know, you've got the shot, you've got the clock to benefit you. The clock is your friend. You know, if you see that, you know that Devin Thomas is a shooter. He doesn't want to post anybody up. If you run him off, you know, he doesn't get that shot. And you don't cheat on, you know, you don't help over that far off on a one pass away off Stanley Davis. So yeah, it was a big shot. It was
8 of 15 they were from 3. 8 of 15.
8 of 15. So yeah, 50 plus. I thought it was a defensive mistake. And the subplot with Vance Johnson continues to be interesting because he played 16 of the first 20 minutes. He didn't play in the second half.
Yeah.
You know, Gareth came out and played in the second half, and Vance Johnson didn't get on the court. I don't know if Gareth just looked at the stat sheet at half time and said, "No, you're not playing." But it was all a bit kind of, and that's me. I don't know if maybe those words at half time in the locker room. I mean, somebody had to talk. There wasn't many of them there, so maybe something was said, but I don't know. He just never got on the court. That helped, probably helped Glasgow's offense, but Johnson's actually not done a bad job defensively. And Ringer was able to impact the game offensively for the first time, showed a little bit of range, a little bit of post skills as well.
Yeah, they never looked like losing.
We've seen the real Des Ringer.
We have seen the real Des Ringer, but not for love. They never looked like losing in the fourth quarter. To be fair, Niall tried to make it sound like it was going to come back, but it didn't look like it.
Since New Year's Day, he's not an interesting game, has he?
To be fair
to be fair to him, he's got to try.
Yeah. Ringer was 9 of 11 for 20 and 10. Hamrick,
he showed some nice moves. Under the rim as well.
17, Thomas and Ogundengby 12 each. Harris had 20 and 9, Murray 21 and 9, Murray 20 and 5, and Jordan Johnson 14 and 9. Let's go to the Morningside Arena where the Leicester Riders won 80-59 against the Cheshire Phoenix. Did you? I know it didn't come back on BBL.
I didn't ever get back. I didn't ever watch this game, I'm afraid, because it wasn't on the player, and I couldn't be.
Yeah, I logged in.
Login. Just before we get to it, the Eric Robertson thing is brutal. You know, shocking. It's absolutely brutal. He played, you know, he was part of a team that basically kicked our backsides. But you know, you always had a lot of respect and time for him because he was very different to the vast majority of American players who play in this league. And that he came in, he was utterly, you could see it in his demeanor on the court. You know, this is not what I've been told. This is just what I saw with my own eyes. Even I don't think I ever spoke to him, but you saw it with his demeanor on the court. You saw the fact that he was somebody who clearly picked up everybody. He would play 5 minutes, he would play 20 minutes, he would be ready to play. He would play defense, he would knock down 3-point shots, but he would be someone who just added value. You know, and the what I've gathered about him is that from what I've read afterwards is that he added value off the court as well in his life. You know, and that knocked me, when I saw that kind of knocked me back a little bit. Just you see it on Twitter and you just think, shit, sorry, what? You know, why? You know, so I didn't see what I know the Riders did a presentation. They did memorial, etc. I didn't see what it was, but you know, it's just brutal. I'm desperate.
I didn't know him. I didn't know him that well. I knew him a tiny bit, but the thing that struck me was, for whatever reason, he was my son's favorite player. My son was about 10 at the time, and an odd player to pick as your favorite player. Because as you say, some weeks he'd only play 5 minutes, and he wasn't the flashy highlight sort of guy that he got. But he found out that my son was his favorite player, and he came down and watched my son play in a game. Just because. And
I think I did. He had the same agent as Ramon Fletcher.
Okay.
Agent, so I think I spoke to his agent. I think I may have had a few words with him one day when his agent was at one of the Leicester Newcastle games. Just so I can't say any more.
I just thought he was a mark of a man, and as you say, a deeply religious man, a man who gave a lot to his community, and just terrible for anybody to die at the age of 28. But so you obviously haven't seen this game.
No.
Essentially, I watched it back on Synergy, and this was just a squeeze game. Basically, Knicks couldn't score, and it was just a matter of time before Leicester did. I mean, it was 14-11 at the end of the first quarter. It was 26-20 midway through the second quarter, and then Mackenzie helped it out to a 13-point lead, and that was it. Leicester just kept.
Yeah, well, again, it's a scheduled game, isn't it? I mean, look at Plymouth. You know, this is what happens. This is what happens when the running the trophy always impacts the league, because the trophy games are played in the two-legged semi-finals in particular, are played at a time where people are starting to have to catch up on league games.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't happen like that for the cup. The cup games are played over Christmas. There's a weekend set aside for the quarterfinals. The semi-finals, there's a bit of time set aside. You don't have the pressure of games. Suddenly our regular season finishes in 5 weeks' time, you know, and you've got to play 13 games or something ridiculous. And so suddenly you're playing Wednesday, Sunday, Tuesday in Plymouth, Friday in Leicester, Sunday at home to London, right? And in the meantime, whilst that's going on, you lose a big piece of your rotation. And on top of that, you're past February the 28th, so you can't sign anybody else.
Yeah.
Which I hate. By the way, I hate. I think it was once. It may have been January once. And I argued.
Yeah, it was January.
I argued to push it back. I don't know if it was my arguments that won the day, but it was just like a nonsense. You know, I think it should be the end of March, because, you know, if the signing deadline should be to stop people bringing in people for the playoffs. You know, and to bring in a whole new team for the playoffs. That's not on. But you know, Bristol have got more than half their league games to play. You know, so why are we stopping players if a team gets 2 season-ending injuries now? You know, why are we making that? What's the point of that rule? That's today's negative rant. So don't do it. But so they're short, and they run into Leicester, who haven't played. Who are playing 1 game a week primarily for the past few weeks because they lost in the first round of the trophy, who are focused and who are talented and who are ready and who are well scouted as ever, and are going to be the team that puts on the squeeze. You know, my impression would be that Cheshire just wouldn't have the gas, and then they didn't, and of course they missed a ton of foul shots. Yeah,
they did. They missed a ton of shots from all distances. Crandall led Leicester with 13 points, 5 assists. Whelan 13, Mackenzie 10. Austin had 18 points, 10 rebounds, 6 steals, and 8 assists. Although on Synergy you can click on the assists and it shows you, because I thought, 8 assists, and I didn't notice it while I was watching it through, and I played it back, and I think there was a couple of them that were thrown right to him. But there was a couple that I thought, I'm not sure they were his steals. It was where somebody's deflected it and whatever. But anyway, it's in the stats as 8 assists, so well done to him. Ajarobia 12 and 9, and Teddy had 10. 34.
Did Neyman Wright play in this game?
I thought he did. You know, I
haven't seen it. Obviously, I know he didn't play tonight.
He didn't play today. Yeah. It's one of those where I don't remember. I don't remember looking now, but they shot 34% from the field, 16% from 3, and 37%. Yeah, he did play. He played 29 minutes. 37% from the free throw line.
37%. Well, you've not got a shot, have you? Now, and that is legs. You know, that's all in the legs, because that is the trip to Glasgow on the Wednesday, then the trip to Plymouth on the Tuesday to play on a concrete floor, to get back at Cheshire, after, and then you go to Leicester. Eventually what you lose is your shooting, and you lose your legs. And as I say, you're running to a team who's not going to give you anything. Leicester do not give anybody anything. So you got to earn every single penny, and they didn't have it. So yeah.
So let's move on to today's games and stick with Leicester. Manchester Giants 85, Leicester Riders 83. No Clark for the Giants, no Walker for the Riders, and
no feed for us.
No feed, unfortunately, until the second quarter. So Gino subbed out of the game with 1:37 gone, and we don't know why, but obviously he got some sort of injury. He was on the bike in the background.
He was on the bike, wasn't he? Yeah, I was trying to figure it out.
Don't know.
I don't know. Obviously, he had issues with his wrist last year, didn't he? But you wouldn't generally be on the bike if you've got any lower limb injury. You wouldn't be if it was a hamstring or an ankle or a knee or anything like that. So it was very strange.
Sure, we'll find
never
out.
got to see it, so
I'm sure we'll find out at some point.
Get to use our amateur medical skills to look at what was going on, because BBL couldn't flick the switch to put the screens on.
Yeah, no, I must have refreshed that on that game and the Glasgow game about 45 times. And
I was impressed. I was too busy ranting on Twitter. Trying to provoke a reaction. It's not good though.
No, it isn't good. No,
it's not good because it's there, and it's not a problem with the venues, because the venues are all working.
Yeah.
And there's so many different platforms that the games could go out on, and they're using one which, I think is linked to the 777 group in London, in America, who kind of set it up, and it needs to work. Either have it or don't have it. If you don't have it because you want to get fans in the building and you don't think it's a good idea, that's fine. But if you're going to have it,
I saw on Twitter that the game was being broadcast on a betting website, so obviously the feed was leaving the building.
I didn't. That's very disappointing, because that's the type of lateral thinking I would normally use.
By the time I saw that, about a minute later, it came back on the BBL player. So there wasn't actually much in it, to be honest. I don't think we missed much. Riders led 5-12. Giants tied it up at 12 apiece. There wasn't really much in it, and I almost just want to go to the fourth quarter on this one.
Absolutely.
Nelson Henry scores 7 in a row. Leicester up 70-75, and Mackenzie and Loving making threes, and Leicester are still up 6 with 3 to play. And this is the sort of game that you kind of expect Leicester to see out.
You can probably go a little bit further back, because a bit middle of the third quarter, basically Jack Hudson came in the first half, played really well, knocked down shots, made some passes, and these two teams have history because they played quite a few times now, and obviously there's a cup final. And if you lose a cup final to somebody, there is something in the back of your mind, whether people don't understand it or not. But being there, you lose the cup final, you've lost to them 3 or 4 times, you get fed up with it eventually. And Manchester kind of, I thought, played together and kind of stayed competitive. Obviously, Crandall wasn't playing. That led to Mackenzie and Washington playing more. And my theory is that the more those guys play, the better they're going to be, as opposed to if they're playing spot minutes. I think that is less effective. It's always a difficulty with building a good team. You have good players down the bench because you want them, but you've got to make sure that they're able to, a good player playing 13 minutes a game might not produce to you the way that, somebody, it's difficult. But the more they play, certainly Connor has a history of it. The more he plays, the more responsibility he has, the better he plays. And Mackenzie, I think, is probably the same. He just looks like he's cut from the same cloth, everything I've seen about him. So halfway through the third quarter, Lloyd took out Armstrong, who Leicester really have had the number of basically all season, certainly since the cup final, because they didn't play until the cup final. And he took out McKnight as well, and they really struggled. They had those two on the court at the same time. They really struggled for offense. I think he had the Hudson and maybe Whelan and Saunders and Ulf, and they played about 3 minutes, and Leicester basically did what Leicester do, which is when you haven't got your lineup out there, they grind you down, because they're a tough team to make shots on. And then Armstrong came back in with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, and Armstrong became a pro tonight. Armstrong took a jump tonight because he didn't play well in the cup final. He hasn't really played well against them at all. And he took over that game. And Jason Swain said it. I actually thought about 2 minutes beforehand that he wasn't going to let them lose. And from that moment on, 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, he made every single play. And he made the right play every single time. And he got to the rim. He finished at the rim against a solid defensive team. He when he had to knock down threes, he knocked down threes. It was a mentality performance. And I thought that started when he came back in, as I say, at the end of the third quarter. And I said it in the Newcastle game before, how do you defend Manchester? You got to defend him. You got to defend him. He is everything about them. And, he made a jump. He really showed a mettle to him tonight, a winning, that winning look, that look which says, I'm not going to let this happen again. And I talk about that a lot, but we don't see it that much. You see you fake it. A lot of people fake it. There's a lot of, it doesn't, and it's not something which you can have every week. You can't, but you have it when it matters. Crandall had it in the second quarter of the cup final.
Yeah.
Fletcher, I've seen Fletcher with it, multiple occasions. Probably the semi-finals of the playoffs last year will be the most recent example.
Yeah. And
that look, which is not this is over. You play me all night, but I'm going to make the last play. I'm going to win. So that was the biggest story of it. I thought Leicester were really, really good for a team playing without Crandall and Walker. Whelan was outstanding and has continued to play outstanding. He's playing his home court in Manchester, but he doesn't look like he's going to miss. He has a pure shot, and he has the ability to finish at the rim, primarily going right. But he just has, and then at the end of the game, he made a hook pass off a screen and roll to get the ball to Nelson Henry for an and one, which put them up 5, I think.
Yeah.
And when you've got Whelan, then you've got Mackenzie's competitiveness, you've got Loving's calmness. You see why that team is winning. But Armstrong wouldn't let them.
Yeah. So back to where I'd got to.
Yeah,
Anderson then scored. Then Armstrong hit a really tough shot in the key with 150 to go, 79-81. Whelan mid-range shot on the baseline, 79-83, 134 to go. And then we've talked about Armstrong and his 3-point shooting. Step back 3 with 113 to go, made it a 1-point game.
Yeah, and it was just that, it was the tough shots he was making. He was like, I'm going to make these shots because I can, because I've had enough of losing to you guys. That was it. And I wouldn't criticize Leicester's defense on him. In the past, obviously I'm on this show and I'm saying, no, you need to stop him. You need to know he's got the ball. You need to know it, get the ball out of his hands, all that stuff. They didn't do much wrong. They were, his 3-point shooting was like 2-3 feet outside, and it was semi-contested, and you'd live with that normally. But he wasn't missing, and he wasn't going to let them lose. So he makes that shot. It's a 1-point game, and and at this point, actually, the other guy who deserves credit is Lewis, because Lewis hardly played in the game. But he came in at the end, last 3 or 4 minutes. He only played 11 minutes, but he came in the last 3 or 4 minutes for Ulf. And he probably made the 2 biggest plays of the game defensively. One of them, which I think Rob was slightly wound up about, was the jump ball call.
Well, let's just get there. Whelan had a turnover, the timeout. Armstrong comes down and misses. And then Nelson Henry going to the basket, and the ball, he hands on the ball, ball's out of bounds, and referee calls a jump ball.
Yeah, and it was back. The contact was kind of the blind side of the camera, so I couldn't see. If it was a foul or not. I couldn't see if he had his hand on the ball.
I don't know whether it's a foul, and I don't know whether it's an out of bounds, but it's not a jump ball.
No, it didn't seem like. Well, there was another jump ball in.
There was one on Friday night as well.
The Eagles game, yeah,
it wasn't a jump ball
towards the end, and it was like he had his hand on the ball for like a tenth of a second.
Yeah, because that happened on Friday night, and then happened again today. I went and had a look at the ruling on that, because I thought, in the old days, it used to be like 2 seconds or something. I thought, is there a time on it or not? Yeah. And the only thing it says is a held ball occurs when one or more players from the opposing teams have one or both hands firmly on the ball so that neither player can gain control without undue roughness. Well, the ball goes out of bounds. without any undue roughness. So it can't be a jump ball.
I love that. That's a tremendous phrase, isn't it? Undue roughness.
Undue roughness.
That's one for the lawyers, that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
I mean, what's undue? Well, that's just roughness. That's not undue. Undue. So that I'm just using due roughness, Your Honour. Brilliant. That was written in the 1950s.
But like you say, from where it is, from the camera angle, you can't tell if there's a foul in there.
Yeah.
And you can't tell who the ball comes off to go out of bounds.
No.
But I can't see how that's a jump ball.
Well, it's the NBA thing is very different because in the NBA, basically, the minute that somebody puts a hand on the ball, it's a held ball. And whereas in the BBL, and we've seen you've seen it, I've seen it. The look from confused Americans week in, week out, especially the new ones, where they go up and down with a basketball. On plants sitting, they land, and they go traveling now.
Yeah. What's that? It's jump ball, But because the other thing is, if the two guys are on the floor, they let them pull at it until they get to the level of due roughness, and then it becomes undue, and then they call a jump ball. But that goes on for like 2 seconds at times. And to me, that's not a jump ball.
It was a big play by Lewis anyway, because Lewis hadn't been in the game much, and whatever it is, he got a stop, whether it was by fair, foul, rough, due, undue, whatever. He got the stop. And then...
So the possession arrows for the Giants. So they're down 1, and they now have the ball with 24.3 seconds to go. And
they executed.
Yeah, and Saunders hits a heck of a shot.
Yeah, I mean, Will is. I spoke to Will a little bit on Friday night. I will before the game. I didn't speak to him. He spoke to me. To be fair, he came on Saturday to me. Try not to speak to players in case I don't know which ones I might have annoyed. But obviously he played for us a few years ago, won the trophy. And he's, he has no fear of anything, and he has this jump shot, which I've talked about before, which is basically just muscle memory, because he shoots it from so far above his head, that it's almost a robotic kind of bring it up and shoot it, and you can't block it. And he has no fear. And I thought the maturity of Armstrong to make that play, to deliver the ball in rhythm for his man coming off the curl, was really impressive. And he made a hell of a shot. You can't blame Leicester's defense for that. It was a Will Saunders shot. I suppose you might want to say, it's Will Saunders catching the basketball. We're gonna make him dribble. But such was the timing of the pass. I only saw it once, so I might have to go back and check. But such was the timing of the pass. I think it was very difficult to get up to him. And such is the quickness of his release, very difficult to make him put the ball on the floor. It's all about rhythm with Will. If he gets the ball in rhythm, facing the basket, then he has every chance of going in. If he's a little bit off rhythm when he catches it, or if he's a step back from the 3-point line, then your chances of stopping him are better. And Tariq Armstrong, I say, made every play that he needed to make. Tariq Armstrong, so he made every play he needed to make.
So there was still 5.6 seconds to go. Leicester with a timeout and advance the ball. Now, here's the thing: as we move into everybody having to film it with proper cameras, can I suggest that we have a sort of range from somewhere between Surrey's old robot camera and behind the head of somebody who's standing up in the crowd, just a little bit higher than the person's head, so we can see. I believe Whelan had his shot blocked, but somebody's massive head was in the way.
Well, two things really. Obviously, Leicester without, that's a situation where Crowder has the ball in his hands every single every single time, and nobody on that team will have any reps in relation to that situation, because you give the ball to Gino, and we've talked about it before, he makes the right decision, so he's not there. So they got the ball probably to their hottest hand, to their best player on the night, and he did what he was meant to do, which was drive hard to the basket. But Manchester did a really good job, because I can't tell you if it was a foul or not. I didn't think there was. But
I didn't think it was a foul.
I didn't think it was. But McKnight did swing down on the ball, but he seemed to swing down right on the ball, as it were. And Manchester did a really good job of packing the paint, because when there's only 5 seconds left, and by the time he makes his move, there's maybe 2-3 seconds left. He can't be throwing the ball out to anybody else. Again, it's what I'm saying. The guy with the ball is most. You've got to stop the guy with the ball first. Yeah. And the clock is your friend. The clock is your sixth defender. So if you know that he's going to be the guy who catches it is most likely going to be going, then you can make the wall in the paint, and they did. And and that's not really to be honest, that's probably the one shot that Patrick Whelan hasn't really shown, which is his floater. He's got the drive to the basket. He has a pull-up jump shot. He's been lights out from three. He's never really had to show a floater this year. Whereas Zach Jackson, that was Zach Jackson. That's probably going in. But it's not quite Patrick Whelan's shot. So I mean, it was a win for Manchester, which was redolent of the fact that they've lost to them so many times, and that their best player said that I'm not going to lose. That was the reality of it. And they had to crawl over the line to get there because Leicester don't give you anything. And they did crawl over the line, and good for them. But Leicester will just chalk that one up and get on with it, I think.
Armstrong, 24 points and 6 assists. Saunders, 17 and 7 rebounds. McKnight and Anderson both 12 apiece. Whelan had 25 and 11. Nelson Henry, 16. Lovin, 13. Mackenzie, 12. So Glasgow Rocks, 99. Plymouth City Patriots, 87. And they put this on Twitter, but with my setup, I had no chance of watching that while watching. So I didn't see any of the first half. I was well into the third quarter by the time I managed to get this game on. What I did notice on the live stats is that Gareth Murray started the game.
Yeah, he did. And Vance Johnson's on the bench, continuing the second half on Friday night. And that has to be right. That's not because I don't like Vance Johnson. It's just because, Gareth Murray is the guy you don't want to have to guard. Particularly when he's playing as a stretch four, he opens the court out, he does everything right for them. And it allows him just to concentrate on playing and not try and figure out what his team's doing, and then, figure that out later. Let the guys on the bench figure it out. They need you as a player now.
So I had a look
at I saw a bit more of this news.
Did
I
you?
managed to get on second quarter, but I was flitting. Obviously, the Leicester Manchester game had my kind of first attention, and I was flitting on the dual screen, and Glasgow was, I think, 3 or 4 minutes behind Leicester Manchester, which meant I could catch up with it a little bit before half time. Very Glasgowy home game. If I can put it that way. Confident. Plymouth started out a little bit cool. Obviously didn't see the first quarter due to the our good friend from last year, whose name I've forgotten. The one that came up on the screen every time we couldn't see a game.
O'Connor is on there, and
two
Newcastle players.
No, the word that came. No, that one. Yes, there was Lewis Sayers and Justin Gordon. Your seat's been reserved. Who was it last year who was putting us off when we
I don't remember.
So there was a word that came up on the screen and playing defense against us. I can't remember who it was now. I've forgotten.
Stream disconnected. Oh wait, cloud mix. Cloud mix. Cloud mix. Stop it.
Anyway, God, this has been going on a while. So I didn't see that for the first quarter, but then every time it was one of those games, Plymouth again, I think a little bit like Newcastle, but when Newcastle started off slow, I don't know how they got there. I don't know if they travelled up overnight or whatever. And Plymouth tend to start off a little bit slow, kind of away from home in the last few games and kind of grow into the game. But Glasgow just kind of make shots at home,
They do.
They have a level of comfort at home. Even when they've played very poorly there, it's not been their offense that's been their problem. And Jordan Johnson was, making shots. And Plymouth, I got the impression we're just a little bit comfortable, a little bit happy. Won a lot of games. They've had their peak, and now you've got to take a couple of blows on the chin to get where you need to get to.
I thought this was quite interesting because obviously Rocks led by 10. Plymouth came back to 1, 7 at half time. They got out to 12 early in the third, and then the Patriots pulled them back. In that the Patriots have done that. They've got behind in games, and it's not bothered them. They've pulled back in, so they've got that sort of confidence that they can do it, and they just didn't really here.
Here's the thing: this is something that they're going to have to look at going forward, right? They're not starting their 5 best players.
No.
Right. At the moment, Raoul Graham-Bell is comfortably more impactful than Cameron King. Cameron King's playing like the first 10 minutes. And it's something PJ used to do at Worcester as well. When he was at Worcester and played multiple times, he would bring guys. There were times he would start players and he would play them for 5 minutes, and that would be it. There's a lad called Khalil Irving he used to start. And then he would bring in Jamal Williams, or there's a Lithuanian guy called Kozlowski, so you might remember.
Yeah, with his funny old shot. Set shot
exactly.
3.
Set shot 3 and never sodding missed. But Page has the habit of doing that because he likes to have that kind of coming off the bench. But if they're going to keep starting slowly, then Raoul Graham had 25 points in this game in 27 minutes. So he's going to have a think about that as to whether he has to start him. And the other thing is, Williams is the guy who just wears you down. He gets into he just constantly probes. He doesn't stop. He's got that size, and he gets in the paint. And basically, it was the same as the game at Newcastle last week. So Hassan gets more open as the game goes on, because the defense is more focused on Williams, and Williams probes and gets in the lane, and Hassan is there to pick things up. And so that's why Plymouth continued to score, and with kind of the boost from Graham Bell as well, and to a certain degree, obviously they've got Simons coming off the bench now too. We're able to stay in the game, but every time they got relatively close, Bunny made a 3, or Johnson made a 3, or Harris got a transition dunk, or Gareth made a 3, or Jack Dombey made a post move or something like that, and they never really got close. There was at one point with 3 minutes to go where that Glasgow had a little wobble, and it came down to 6, and you were thinking, hang on, are they going to survive this? And I think Boban made a move. I think he made a move in the post, and they got to 8.
Yeah. I think it was an AM1 as well.
Might have been, yeah. And that kind of just did it, and Plymouth just kind of faded away there. And I think they've expended a lot of emotion in Plymouth over the past few weeks. A lot of emotion, a lot of games, a lot of they've got that first high of being a new team basically, and now they're going to have they're going to have to fight kind of the BBL for real as it continues to kick on. You can't quite live off that emotion. You've got to be ready for every game. They should have lost this. They should have lost at Newcastle last week.
Yeah.
It's not their fault that they didn't. They did well to get that game back. Yeah. But that was a game that they were down 15 in the first half, and Newcastle really should have put away simply because Plymouth gave them a start.
Yeah.
And this time they gave Glasgow a start as well, and Glasgow did what they were meant to do, and they put the game away.
So Johnson 20, Jack Domney 20, Hillsman 18, Harris 18, Murray 10. I just realised I didn't put down the Plymouth starters, and just as you said, Simon's coming off the bench. I noticed that he didn't come off the bench today, so I missed that.
Did
he? No, he wasn't playing.
Wasn't there? I didn't see him on the court. I was just thinking that. Sorry, guys.
So I'm just looking at their. I'm just looking at the numbers there. Graham Bell was 23 points, 10 of 14, shooting 6 rebounds. Hassan 18, 8 of 10. He keeps keeps plugging away like that. Hart had 15, and Williams had 13 points and 11 assists. So let me come back to where I can see you, and let's go to the last game, which was a preview brackets kinda of the trophy final, and the reason that it was kinda was because there was no Wright, no Reese, no Washburn. Jordan Williams played for the Lions. We obviously haven't seen him for a long time. It finished Cheshire Phoenix 89, London Lions 97. The interesting thing with Williams is obviously they've since signed Ryan Martin. And I'd assumed that when they signed Martin, it was because Williams was injured and wasn't going to come back. And the reason I assume that is because I'm guessing there wasn't a Ryan Martin size hole in their salary cap details. And obviously you can have 2 British players outside of the salary cap, but presumably they already had 2 British players outside of it. Now, obviously they've got no Reese and Washburn today, so they can play both of them together. But I just wonder going forward how that all adds up.
The salary cap is somewhat opaque, isn't it?
Well, it is somewhat opaque, but I don't think there was anybody who thought that a player who's played at the level that Ryan Martin has, that London were that far under the salary cap that they would just be able to squeeze him in. Would be my take.
That may indeed be right, but who knows? That's a matter. That's something we can't find out about disqualifications for 3 weeks. We're not going to find out about that until 2024. I mean, the other thing about Ryan Martin is, of course, he hasn't played for 3 years, so so I don't know if necessarily, he's in a prove yourself situation, as opposed to one whereby he can go in demand in the big books. Jordan Williams didn't quite look right. He did all the things that Jordan Williams normally does, but he didn't have the lift that he's previously had. He got blocked by Kyle Carey. That's not happening if Jordan Williams is healthy.
Yeah.
But they probably wanted to throw him out there to see what he was like.
Capable. Yeah.
We've got a cup final next week. You might need him, trophy final. James gave Bradley Caboza some minutes. He played really well.
Yeah,
he looked like he belonged. I don't imagine he'll play much next week, but he's certainly, demonstrated that, if you've got the right mentality and the right skill set, you can, and athleticism, most importantly, you can be there. He looked a little bit like a young kind of Ubiaro a couple of years ago when he came on the scene. So that was nice to see. And Justin obviously led the team and made the plays that he needed to make. I kind of picked this game up in the third quarter because of the other two games that were on. It was
let's get there. Kelly had 7 in a 10-2 run. He was good in the first half from what I saw, Kelly. And like you, this was third on the screen sort of thing. So 38-29 they led. Knicks cut it to 2 at half time. Quickly got it to 7 in the first half, and then got back to 62-61, and it was a pretty tight game from there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, to be honest, what I saw the first half was basically Cheshire not guarding Cagini, and Cagini's just being Cagini, bang, swish, swish.
Yeah.
People have that kind of music when they go to sleep. It sounds. I think he must have grown up to like this baby kind of swishes when he was in his cot, because he doesn't miss, and he doesn't when he hits, he doesn't actually miss. He doesn't hit the rim. He's just pure shot, and they really didn't guard him. And it was nice to hear the old man on the microphone.
James Hamilton,
James Hamilton on the microphone, who after about the fourth one said they might need to learn. They might need to start locating Cugini. I should have told you that. But then again, I suppose Cheshire are thinking, well, if our players see him do that now, then they might know what to do next week. The game went back and forwards. Cheshire made shots. Teddy played really, really well. Maybe it was because against London. He's a London lad. Again, he's scoring the ball far easier than it's ever been for him. It's certainly been in this league for him. And if you look at his numbers abroad, probably abroad, he's comfortable getting to his spots. He's comfortable finishing. He plays at his own speed, but it doesn't impact his ability to get his shot off. And so he kind of kept them in it. But they were stretched. I mean, they had foul trouble. They had Bacali in the game a little bit. He hasn't played much. Carey played a lot more minutes and knocked down some shots, which is really, really what they're going to need from him going forwards. But without Wright as well, and you lose Wright and you lose Mockford, then it becomes Austin has to be more of a normal player as opposed to kind of a spark plug.
Yeah,
and that kind of takes a bit away from them. London did what they had to do, and they closed the game out well at the end. I thought they do have the advantage of the bodies now with Williams and Martin and Kelly, even without Washburn. The issue is probably going to be for them how they manage all those bodies when they're all healthy. And they all play, because someone's not going to play. And who's it going to be? And I want Dirk on the court, and I want Lorenzo Cugini on the court. Because if I'm going coaching against them, I'm thinking, I don't want those guys on the court. So are they going to be able to manage that with Washburn, Martin, Kelly, and Jordan Williams? If Reece comes back, where will Robinson fit in? They've got a lot of people to kind of figure out, because with their roster, the only team beating them should be themselves. I thought they played this game like it mattered, which was good. Because they could have just showed up. I thought Kelly in particular, was ready for it. Sometimes that happens when you're a couple of players down, the other guys step up a bit more. And I thought Cheshire, I didn't know why Cheshire had Bradley out at the end. And if you get to the end, we had Bradley out for a long time, and up until about a minute to go in the game, and I couldn't figure that out, because he's a guy I want on the court in a close game, because he has the capability of knocking down shots, and he has the length to do that.
Well, somebody with length who knocked down a shot was Kyler Kelly with 2.5 minutes to go. Hit a 3.
That was a brutal shot for Cheshire. That was a brutal shot. I did a little gasp. And that went in, because I think they'd missed either just before or just after that. They'd missed him, but Cugini missed, Williams missed.
It was just after that. It was
just after that.
The next play down, Cheshire missed 2 underneath that they should have scored. and then London had 4 misses on 1 possession.
Yeah.
And as you say, it was all the 3-point shooters that were
and then the next time down, Dirk didn't miss, as you wouldn't expect. And that kind of just blew the game. I thought they needed Bradley in the game to match them, to be honest, at that point, and they didn't have him in the game. And then they had Dickerson go down.
Yeah, he limped off. Hopefully that's just a little impact thing and he's all right. From the sounds of it, I didn't see it, but from the sounds of it, Neighbour must have limped out of the game earlier on.
I think it looked like it. I didn't see that either. Dickerson, he did the whole kind of footballer thing, holding his knee, not rolling around, but kind of doing, which means you immediately think either he's his ACL or he's just banged knees with somebody.
Yeah.
And you hope he's just banged knees with somebody.
Yeah.
Because that can be extraordinarily painful. But obviously they really need him. They need him in small bursts. I think that's probably what I would say about him. They need Ucharobia, but they need what he can bring them if he's able to, because he does change shots. He does block shots. He can finish at the rim. He's just a little bit flaky for my liking. You never quite know what you're going to get.
So you mentioned that Dirk 3, that was with 105 to go. It was 85-91. Teddy then misses a layup at the other end, and Martin comes back with an and 1, and Lions end up winning more comfortably than it looked like it was going to be with 2.5 minutes to go. Carey 4 of 6 for 3, 22 points and 6. I've got 6 here. I think it's assists. Could be.
That's
rebounds.
Probably why he was in the game at the end and Bradley wasn't. And that saves you right for not watching the whole game for us.
There you go. Okarafo with 22 and 9. Bradley with 14. Kyler Kelly 9 of 10 for 20 points. Most of that in the first half. 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Kajini 19 and 5. Robinson 19. Jordan Williams played 13.5 minutes. Had 2 points. So let's.
Big question for them is whether Reece plays next week.
Yeah, it didn't really sound like he was going to from their injury report earlier in the week.
No,
but then it didn't sound like Jordan Williams would either, and he played today, so who knows?
And I think 20 had 6 is 36, so I'm not overly, let's wait and see. It's a cup final.
Yeah, indeed. So let's have a quick squiz at the table on the way out. Leicester top 16 and 2. Manchester, good weekend for them. They're back up to second, 11 and 8. Sheffield dropped to third, 10 and 8. Cheshire 10 and 11 in fourth. Lions 3 losses back of Leicester, 4 games less they've played. They are 9 and 5. Plymouth 9 and 12 have played 7 games more than London and are on the same points. Bristol 8 and 7, so above 500, which not all of the teams above them are. And Newcastle now 8 and 10, and Glasgow with that win moved to 6 and 12. So they've closed the gap a little bit, but they played the same number of games as Newcastle in 8th and more than some of the other teams above them. And then Surrey 2 and 14 now.
Yeah, good luck picking the bones out of that.
Yeah,
it needs a couple more weeks to shake out. It's still not satisfactory that we've got Plymouth up playing Cheshire on a Tuesday night. I know it's because it's the Pavilions. I know they haven't got the court time. I get that. So I'm not blaming anybody.
No,
but it's where our league needs to get better if it can. And it's not necessarily that it's not necessarily it can. Is that to the 2 teams that have played the most games are playing on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
In the middle of March.
Yeah.
Whereas there's other teams like Bristol are going to be playing 10 games in 3 weeks in April or something like that.
Yeah.
I never liked it. I always thought that the way that the league ran itself led to kind of these fixture pileups, and we were at the wrong end of it a few times when we got to the trophy final, the cup final. It becomes an absolute slog, and it's kind of unique to our league. It's probably one of the unique things for the league.
I think one of the things
compared to anything else,
it is in that most leagues you look at around Europe, certainly they all play one game at a weekend, and that's it. But it's every weekend, and obviously they probably, not probably, they do have better access to whatever venue they're playing than the BBL teams do. So my thing is not so much. I completely agree with you about Bristol and Plymouth, but again, the pavilions is not an easy place to. It's not an easy place for them to get hold of, and if they can get a new venue for next season, I'm sure they'll have a much more even season. My thing is, I never mind when it's like, oh, they've got 2 games in hand, or they've got one, that sort of thing. And I look it down, and you've got Leicester, Manchester, Sheffield, Newcastle, Glasgow, Surrey, all within sort of two games of each other. It's the extremes of Cheshire at 21. You know, if you look at 5, 6, 7 in the table, Cheshire are 21 games, London 14 games, and Plymouth are 21 games. And I suppose if we could flatten that out somewhere, I think it would make it better. And again, I suppose it's about when do you start the season versus, you know, if you've got a date at the O2 at that, can you extend the other way and just have a couple extra weeks at the beginning?
I always had the impression that there was far more pressure on teams, were far more interested in
how many months there were in a season.
Yeah, but also not playing the games early. There was never any pressure in relation to play games. You know, the games always get rescheduled late. It gets kind of put off and figured out and all of that stuff. And so you end up with, you know, teams having a couple of weeks off at times earlier in the season. And, you know, Manchester just come off 3 weeks off, you know. And it's a brutal thing to do. It's not hard. It's not easy at all. I have every sympathy for the people who do the schedules or for the club owners who've tried to find the dates. Because
and the other thing that people won't realise, because they don't really look at the fixtures and the whole, but as somebody who keeps the fixtures, there are a ton of fixture changes. Tons of fixture changes. And there's almost no point in the season up until now where I thought for a minute, I think now this week we've now got every game scheduled. I think. I need to double check that. But up until now they weren't. Yeah,
that's right. So I know, because, and the other thing that isn't necessarily appreciated is that, you know, it's very important for clubs to be able to maximize their earnings on these games. You know, so you can't. So Newcastle want to play their games on a Friday night because that's when they're able to get 3,000 people. You know, and you can say, well, why didn't they play? They could play. They've got a week off. They could play an odd game on a Sunday if they're playing against teams on Friday. Well, that might cost them thousands of pounds. You know, and ultimately, we can't be unaware, or we can't be
you can't ignore the facts of the situation.
People have to get paid. You know, everyone wants to create an economy. Everyone wants the players to get paid more. Everyone wants to be more professional, etc. Well, in that case, you got to get the bodies on the seats, and if you get the bodies on the seats at certain times, so that's Cheshire on a Friday, or Cheshire on a Sunday. Newcastle on a Friday. Whatever, and that does give a limited kind of room for manoeuvre in relation to fixtures. But as you say, you know, 14 games, 21 games is not good. This part of the season is not good.
And some of that is London with their Europe, and then they had that COVID thing where they cancelled a few games, and I get all of that. But anyway. We'll have this same conversation in March next year as well. So let's leave it.
Is anyone still listening?
So next weekend we will not be on Sunday, because I will probably be somewhere on the M6 at this point in time on my way back from the trophy final. So Dave and I
can make it all the way to Scotland this time.
Well, indeed. No, that's the week after. Dave and I will have a chat and work out when we're going to do, but it'll probably be Monday or Tuesday next week. But look out in all the usual spots wherever you listen or watch this, and we'll be back next week at some point, but not Sunday night. But for now, have a great week, and we'll see you after the trophy final. Goodbye.